mainstream media is talking about the mystery fog phenomenon that is causing panic all over America. Michael Snyder reports there's been an unusual amount of fog. Has there been an unusual amount of fog in your area lately? And if so, did a lot of people in your area start getting sick after the fog arrived? All of a sudden, fog has become one of the hottest topics on social media, and even the mainstream media is now talking about this phenomenon. But is there any validity to the story? I'm going to try to be balanced, and I'm going to share information from both sides of the debate, Michael Snyder reports. I would encourage you to read the entire article all the way to the end, because there is a twist that not a lot of people are talking about right now. Earlier today, the Daily Mail published an article about this story, which was quickly picked up by the Drudge Report. The thick fog is sweeping across the United States, with locals in multiple states reporting how a burning chemical-like smell has blanketed their communities. Concerned Americans flocked social media with videos of what looks like white particles raining down and swirling in the air. Some witnesses have also called the fog has also targeted health symptoms similar to the respiratory illness. In recent days, a lot of very strange things have been happening, and this is certainly one of the strangest. But are there any facts that we can verify? Well, it's true that there has been an unusual amount of fog in both the United States and the United Kingdom. Reports show that the fog has impacted air travel, rail systems, and highways in multiple areas, as reports by Sportskida. Major airports in both UK and US have experienced considerable delays and cancellations. Heathrow, Luton, and Manchester airports in the UK experienced major disruptions resulting from low visibility. In the United States, impacted regions consist of California, Texas, Florida, and sections of the Midwest. In Des Moines, Iowa, the fog was so bad that authorities issued dense fog advisories for 6 days in a row. Much of Iowa saw a hazy Christmas instead of a white one this year. Fog settled in over Des Moines and the rest of the state during the last week of December. A dense fog advisory was issued for central Iowa on Monday, and this marked the 6th morning in a row of dense fog advisories. It's also true that a lot of people are blaming their illnesses on the fog. Reports from around the globe are surfacing of mysterious illnesses linked to encounters with so-called chemical fogs. Described as thick, lingering blanket, the fog has left people sick, and many experience such a sudden cold or flu-like symptoms after only brief exposure. Dubbed FogVid24, some victims also reported an unexplained loss of energy. This is not just happening in the United States. In the UK, a Twitter user named Jay Anderson says that he got rapidly ill after he was exposed to thick fog. I'm really not trying to buy into the FogVid24 conspiracy, where people are saying the thick blanket of fog over the UK that impacted us for about 3 days straight has made people ill, but I got rapidly ill with cold and flu symptoms, and it was after brief exposure to the fog, he said. The National Weather Service is not denying that there has been a lot of fog lately, and they are not denying that people are getting sick, but they're suggesting that there may be a scientific explanation for what we are witnessing. However, the National Weather Service, NWS, issued a dense fog advisory for multiple states, suggesting there could be a scientific explanation behind the bizarre reports. While the particles may seem unusual, fog is a visible aerosol consisting of tiny water droplets or ice crystals suspended in the air or at or near the Earth's surface. Shining a light in the fog makes these particles visible. As for the chemical smell people have described, the fog can absorb and trap polluted air near the Earth's surface, acting as a carrier for car exhaust, industrial emissions, and other airborne chemicals. So that makes sense. The Daily Mail also pointed out that multiple scientific studies have shown that fog can cause respiratory issues. Multiple studies show that fog can cause respiratory issues such as coughing, shortness of breath, chest pain, congestion, and wheezing, especially in people with asthma. That's because our lungs are designed to inhale oxygen and not water. When we inhale the increased moisture content of the air, it can irritate the respiratory system and trigger uncomfortable symptoms. Fog can be especially irritating when it's mixed with airborne pollutants, allergens, or other particles. So, okay, that makes sense too, but there's one more twist to the story. According to CBS News, the U.S. military conducted more than 200 secret biological warfare tests over populated areas in the U.S. for a period of 20 years. In one of the very first experiments, the U.S. Navy sprayed a bacteria called Serratia marcescens in a mist that was unnoticed due to the thick fog in the San Francisco area. In what sounds like a conspiracy theory, the fog over San Francisco was used by the U.S. military in the 1950s as a way to mask the spreading of a biological agent in simulated germ warfare attacks. Leonard Cole, the director of Terror Medicine and Security Program at Rutgers Medical School, called it one of the largest human experiments in history. And for a period of 20 years between 1949 and 69, the U.S. Army conducted more than 200 secret biological warfare tests over populated areas. Among the first was the 1950s along San Francisco's Bay coastline. A Navy minesweeper went back and forth for a couple of days in September, spraying a bacteria called Serratia marcescens in a mist that was unnoticed due to the region's fog. So it's entirely true that the U.S. military has used fog to conduct biological experiments in the past. And that same CBS News article goes on to explain that it appears that some people died as a result. It's not acceptable to experiment on American people. It was not acceptable then, and it's certainly not acceptable to experiment on them now. But even if we could prove that our government is experimenting on us today, they certainly won't admit it. Sadly, our government lied to us over and over again through the years, and this is one of the reasons why everyone is so paranoid right now. When most of the people living in the nation no longer trust the government, that has very serious consequences, but instead of taking steps to restore that trust, our government just keeps making things even worse. And this is by Michael Snyder on End of the American Dream. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. About the author, Michael Snyder's new book, Why, is available on paperback and for Kindle on Amazon. He's also written 8 other books available on Amazon, including Chaos, End Times, 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophets in the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters. When you purchase any of Michael's books, you help to support the work that he's doing. You can also get his articles by email as soon as he publishes them by subscribing to his Substack newsletter. Michael has published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and The Most Important News, and he always freely, happily allows others to republish those articles on their own websites. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, we strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.